And welcome back, everybody, to a very exciting spring day edition of the TV show. My name's Jay Black, joined as always with Rhea Hughes and Angelo Cataldi. And guys, I got to start the show by saying I think, Angelo, people underestimate the power of this podcast and
Hello.
our the words that our podcast carries, the weight that the industry takes everything we say. Because last week we talked about Project Hail Mary coming out of theaters, and what happens not 24 hours after our pod drops, word comes out that it's roaring back in the theaters. Hollywood heard our voices and were afraid. Isn't that right, Angelo?
Yes, and hopefully is going to really topple Mario and Super Mario Bros. And that garbage as soon as possible. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
happy.
I am
That's
very
awesome.
excited about it. My wife is finishing up the book right now, and she said she wants to see the movie. So I don't get to go to the movies often with my wife, and I'm just excited. Now, will she be looking at Ryan Gosling and making mewling noises? Probably, but I'll take it. I'll be doing the
You
same
don't
thing
get
to
to go to the
Rocky.
movies with your wife because you watch weird stuff.
That Rhea, that is 100% true, and we're going to
Yes.
talk about that later on in the show when I talk about a TV show on Netflix that reminds me too much of myself. We will get to
Okay.
that in just a moment. But I want to start with Bill Lawrence, who's a creator who comes up a lot on our podcast. He's a guy who's done Ted Lasso. Did Scrubs. He's done Shrinking, the very popular Shrinking. He's doing Rooster right now. The guy's a one-man band that does a ton of different TV shows. And he got a little bit of confusion online because he said that the Shrinking story, the one that he set out to tell, is done. The story about the dead wife and the grieving and coming to terms with your grief, that story is done. The show's not done, but the story's done. We're going to tell new stories in season 4. And this confused everybody online. Angelo, people were going to Bill Lawrence like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Are you ending the show? Is it a new show? What's happening? And my question to you is, should he end the show if the story's over? Or do you like the fact that they're going in a different direction in season 4?
Well, I hope this different direction doesn't mean that Harrison Ford has to play anybody other than a grumpy old man, because that's
Right.
the only thing he can play.
Yes.
And it got
Right.
so tired that I stopped after season 2. Yeah, he's right. He didn't need a season 3. The grieving thing was over, and the premise for the show ended. So
Right.
then he had a decision to make. I got these characters that people clearly like. It's a popular thing, but I'm out of story. Let me go in different directions. You know what? I'm out anyway. When I go to a story, it's the story itself that keeps me there, not the characters. So I don't care what he does, but I understand why he's doing it, and it's better than just continue to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Right. British shows wouldn't, they would just end, right? A
They
British
just
show?
end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, but in this case, one of my favorite shows that I've told you about, which is now I have to think of it. They killed off the main character in season 4, and I thought season 5 and season 6, and I have to look up what it is, were just as great, and they completely changed the main character. I will figure this out. It's in my brain, but to me, if because I haven't seen Shrinking, but if it's about a guy coming to terms with his grief, you eventually, your hope is that you eventually come out of that. So, like, Bill, he's such a great storyteller that he should be able to still create these storylines, because you know what it is. You lose somebody you love, and 5 to 10 years go by, and eventually you can start to still have some joy in the memories that you had of them while moving on. And I think that's the story he could tell.
Yeah.
Jay, I got one thing. The best example I can give you of how this model doesn't work when you try to keep doing the same story is the beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Beer,
Yes.
100%.
the beer is a television show about these guys who had a dream to open a classy restaurant in
Yep.
Chicago.
Yeah.
And they had this little sandwich shop. And those first two seasons were fascinating to see how they built this restaurant up, created it, trained people, and then the story was over.
Yes. You know what?
It
When
was
they hung up the bear sign at
that's
the end of
it.
Yes.
season one, you're
Done.
kind of done. You don't need anything
Yes.
else. And that would have been an all-time classic had they stopped.
Yes.
I like season two. Stop after season two and you're an
Yes.
That's
all-time
it.
classic. And
That's
nobody
it.
goes, ugh.
Once you've completed, Rhea is our role model because of the Brits. The Brits would not do this. They would go,
That's
that story
yeah.
is told. Let's tell another one with different character. How did they, Rhea? Is there any reason why they figured it out and we haven't in our country?
Well, I think there's one reason I think, and by the way, the TV show I was talking about was Unforgotten, which remains a great TV show. Um,
Ironic, since
yeah,
you forgot it.
since I forgot it exactly, I was like, undead. No, that wasn't right. Here's where I think one of the reasons are they're shorter. There's a smaller group of available actors who are British and Australian and Irish, and a lot of them star in all of the same shows. So they have to leave. Like the character they killed off in Unforgotten, I think thought the show was only going to run 4 seasons, and she committed to another show. So they had to kill her off. She was going to star in something else. She's been in, her name's Nicola Walker, I believe. She's in a lot of stuff. I just think that they have a smaller pool of people to draw from. That's the only reason. That's the only one of the reasons I could think of.
Good
Yeah, that's a
reason.
very good point. Absolutely. Okay, let me switch here to Rhea. I don't know, is your son watching The Boys on Amazon? I feel like
Not
that
that
might
he's
be up his
mentioned it to
alley.
me. No, he
It's
hasn't
kind of
mentioned it.
it's an adult show, but it's an adult show that kids his age really like. My son really enjoys it. It's basically if there were superheroes in the real world, what would it look like?
Superheroes.
It's a superhero story. A lot of sex, a lot of violence. So it's basically a
Great.
satire. But season five just started. And listen, it'll probably be that the good guys win, or it might be a Pyrrhic victory. It's hard to tell. But it certainly seems right now that Homelander, the bad guy, the Donald Trump, and I'm not saying that, the creators are, the Donald Trump of the show, it looks like he might win. And it got me to thinking, can you think of a TV series
Yep.
where the bad guy wins at the end? And if you can't, should there be more of them? That is my question to you, Rhea Hughes.
So I tried really hard to think of it. I thought maybe the Shield, but he avoided justice at the end of that. But he lost everything. Lost his family. Lost
That's
everything.
a very
I
good one.
Yeah. The only one I could really think of was a movie, and that was The Usual Suspects. Kaiser Sose walks
Yeah.
out in the end. The
Right.
limp's gone, and blows you away. Other than the Shield, like the only thing he did was avoid going to jail, but he still lost everything. But he should have gone to jail. That was the only one
One
I
of
could think
the
of.
all-time greatest endings of a TV
Yep.
series. Really good choice, Rhea. Nicely done. What about you, Angela? Could you
Do
think
I
of one
look
where the
smug
bad
right
guy?
now?
You
I got
do,
the
kind of.
I
Yeah.
got the best example, and it's going to pants you, which
Okay.
makes it doubly great. I think maybe the most iconic TV show of all time ended with the bad guy winning, or maybe not. Was Tony Soprano killed in the deli in that scene? If not, after all the people he killed, Jay, the fact that he still lived his life with his family eating onion rings indicates to me that the bad guy won.
Yeah, I can see that.
Possible, right?
Yeah,
Possible. Dexter is a serial killer.
Yeah.
He's
fair.
still winning. He's still hanging out. And if you really want to go back in time, and I'm not going to lie to you, I had to look this up. One of my favorite shows many years ago was a stupid network sitcom named Alf. And believe it or not, Alf, who was a very charming,
I
sarcastic
loved Alf.
I
puppet.
love
You
Alf
did?
too. Yeah,
All right, do you know how it ended?
I
I
don't
do.
remember.
I
He
do,
got
Angela.
abducted by the alien task force and returned to his homeland against his will, the homeland being Melmac. Yes, but it's very rare, Jay. It's very rare that there's an unhappy ending.
So I got two comments on this. Number one, there's a not Ben Affleck, a Ben Stiller movie called Permanent Midnight about a writer who's addicted to heroin. And it's like was in the mid 2000s. Ben Stiller was trying to change his image. And what always struck me as hilarious was the thing he was writing was Alf. The guy who did Alf was a heroin addict who was also completely depressed about his life.
I believe
He
it.
thought he was creating nonsense. So if you ever watch Permanent Midnight and you're sitting there going, wow, what does this writer have to be upset about? It's because he's writing Alf every day. Second thing I'll say is, I think you can make an argument that the end of Mad Men ends with the bad guy winning. Because Don Draper, for as sympathetic as he is as the protagonist, he is not a good person. And the moment where he thinks you think he's going to change and embrace a new style of living, spoiler alert for the end of that TV series, he gets a ding. You cut to the Coca-Cola ad. He has just co-opted everything that he has absorbed about this new way of looking at stuff into another ad. He had no change or growth. The entire journey that he went on was to learn how to make better ads to sell sugar water. So in a way, the end of Mad Men
that's a
is
stretch.
I don't think so, Angelo Cataldi.
I just binged that. And I'm sorry. I always rooted for him. You're right. He wasn't a great guy. He was a philanderer and a booze hound, and he smoked more than any human being in history. But the truth is, in the end, I went, oh, cool. He ended up coming up with one of the most iconic ad campaigns ever.
Right.
I thought it was a great ending and a happy one. It made me feel good.
Everybody got a happy ending. Everybody did. I don't think that Don got a happy ending because he didn't change, Angelo. Everybody else changed. He did.
Yeah, change is overrated.
I knew he was going to say that.
Right, Rhea, is it
Yes.
have I changed that much in the years you've known me?
Not a bit.
No. Yeah.
No.
And everybody thinks that's a great idea, Angelo. Keep doing that.
No growth there whatsoever.
All right. Something that broke Angelo and my heart is that Kevin O'Leary, who is a jerk in real life, just a brutal
He really
jerk,
is.
was really, really good in a movie called Marty's Supreme. It's stunt casting. The guy's not an actor. And, it wasn't a stretch. He played a jerk. But it's difficult to even play yourself in a movie, especially when you're going up against Timothy Chalamet and you telling him you're a vampire, which was great moment in that movie. And Angelo, you suggested this. This was a really good idea. Stunt casting oftentimes doesn't work. Kevin O'Leary works. I think the Safdie brothers do a good job of it. They seem to stunt cast and have good people in the roles. But what are some examples of ones that didn't work or do work in your mind?
Let me just say, one that never works and he uses himself all the time is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, God, yes.
Quentin
terrible.
Tarantino is a brilliant a writer and director. He is a horrible actor.
Yeah.
I don't know why he thinks he's good at that. But the one I'll give you, and I'm sorry, I know everybody loves the movie, but Brett Favre in Something About Mary.
Favre.
Yeah. That is there's a scene, Jay, where he's sitting at a wooden table, and his acting is more wooden than the table. You will never see a worse performance in the history of film, television, or movies than Brett Favre in Something About Mary. And I'm not positive why they thought it was a good idea. I have no clue. They knew he was awful in it. Right. Awful.
I think it was just so they could make the joke Brett Favre, which he kept calling him Brett
that's
Favre.
So clever.
He did.
Oh, that's clever.
Rhea, do you got one?
So it was funny as Angela was saying that because I really struggled to think of one. But I'm trying to remember the movie that LeBron James was in recently.
Oh, he was in two. He was in Space Jam 2, but he was also in the Amy Schumer movie.
And he was good in that.
He was really good in that. He really was.
That's the one. It took me a while because I was thinking I can't think of one. And he's not. he's an entertainer, but he's not an actor. I thought LeBron James was really good in that movie. I when I was struggling to think of it, I just had to mention this because of all the great things that
Trainwreck is
Chuck.
the name of the movie.
What
Trainwreck.
is
Sorry,
that?
Trainwreck.
Trainwreck. That's it. That's it. Of all the great things that Chuck Norris did when he unfortunately passed away recently, I just remembered my favorite thing that he's in, which is Dodgeball. And him in Dodgeball
Give
is
us a
just
thumbs
out.
up. Yeah,
Gives a
yeah.
thumbs up, and then Ben Stiller. By the way, I got a little nugget on that. He said no to Ben Stiller many times to do that scene because he goes, "It's 3 hours to get from my home in LA to Long Beach." So Ben Stiller sent in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not cool?
See,
Nice.
sometimes Hollywood money is spent correctly, and that's the
Yes.
case where it's spent correctly.
Yes, it
All right.
was.
I got two that are
All right.
used well. The first one is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
Yeah.
in the movie Airplane.
Oh,
As
you're right.
Yes.
He's great in that.
And
Yes.
if you remember, like I was a kid at the time, but my dad explained he was not a well-liked personality, and he
No,
still isn't
no,
a
no.
well-liked personality. He's always been grumpy, but he's so funny when he
Yeah.
turns to the kid and says, "Look, you think it's easy running up and down every night, carrying that whole team on my back?" He's great. It's a
Yeah.
great moment.
He's
He's
great.
hilarious. And the second one is not only a good use of stunt casting, it also changed the guy's career. And that's Neil Patrick Harris in a movie called Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, which was a dumb stoner comedy. And they run into Neil Patrick Harris playing himself as a
Wow.
womanizing jerk. And
Huh.
the producers of How I Met Your Mother saw his performance and said,
Wow.
"That's our
Wow.
Barney." And he went from
Wow.
being Doogie Howser, who nobody thought was a
Yeah.
washed up
Yeah.
guy, stunt casted playing himself against type, and then he becomes Barney and reinvents his
Wow.
entire career. So that to
Right.
me is a huge moment in stunt
I
casting.
thought of one more real quick. Mike Tyson in Hangover.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't bad. All right. But
No.
I'll give you, and again, I am not trying to get political here, but Jay, I really would like your response to this. Um, an individual who is in several of these stunt casting films is our current leader, President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And I guess his most famous performance was in Home Alone 2,
Yep.
Home Alone
where
Part 2.
he
Yeah.
plays a blowhard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess, I guess he's a pretty good actor because he pulled it off. He came
Yeah.
across as kind of like a belligerent blowhard with nothing behind it.
I'm going to, Angela, my response to this is I'm going to actually compliment our president and say he might be our greatest living actor. And I believe if he can hear this podcast, he should go back to acting. And I think we'd all be better off for it
Okay. Well,
if he went back and just went, did
can't
what he
help
does
himself.
best.
Jay
All right.
Black.
One other one.
Hello, Jay Black, Instagram.
Because somebody will email us if I don't mention this. The most iconic example of this in film history is the great Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah.
who
Oh.
put himself in most of his movies in the middle of his career. He always would be, and it got to the point where people were missing the early part of the story because they were waiting to see Hitchcock appear in a hotel lobby sitting on a chair. He would always put himself in there. And
Wow.
he announced, "I'm going to be doing it in the first scene so you can enjoy the film." But he did it. And I'll tell you, even when you watch him all these years later, you're kind of looking for Alfred early on.
It's a
It
very good
worked.
point. Yeah.
He never spoke though, because you would know, he had a very
Yes.
distinctive voice, but he never spoke, and I thought it came out okay. He did good.
That's very, very good. This was a fun topic. We could probably do an entire like first segment on this because I can think of 25 others that are good and bad. But I'll tell you one person who doesn't have to do any stunts because all he's got is quality. And that's our good friend Steven Singer. Angelo, tell me about Steven Singer.
That's the perfect segue. There are certain businesses, you see it with cars, you see it with jewelry, where the people that own these businesses think they need a stunt. They need some dumb slogan or they need some sale. Oh my God, all these cars we're going to put on sale next week. And then the following week, you're going back to the other. So what's the real price? See, that's the whole thing about Steven Singer. You don't play that guesswork. And that's what I love. There's nothing that replaces honesty for me in a business. And when you know you can go into a store, And what you're seeing and what the price is a fair price for what you're buying. He's not trying to gouge you. He's an incredibly successful jeweler. So Steven Singer understands that the best way to sell anything is to put a fair price on it and offer it for people. And then to make it even easier, have a great selection. And here is Miss Rhea Hughes with more on that.
Well, it's great that you said that, Angelo, that he doesn't need stunts and
No.
he's just a straight up and classics work. So I always like to go through the jewelry and pick out something to show everybody. I was going through and I remember 40 years ago, my dad, Chuck, you knew Chuck well, got my mom this beautiful piece of jewelry. And I saw something that was exactly like it. It's a
Oh,
sapphire and diamond. And
nice.
I went, and it just, and you know what? Like we were talking about in the beginning, grief, it's when but I just remembered the day that my dad gave it to her. And it was just like
Beautiful.
really cool. And that he's got that exact piece of jewelry because beautiful, timeless jewelry never goes out of style, like Steven Singer never goes out of style.
Wow. Do you know what
Beautiful.
that costs? That is
I
beautiful.
do. I can look. I might have clipped out the
All
thing. Give
right.
me 2
On the
seconds.
corner of 8th and Walnut, you could also get them in Newtown now. It's IHateStevenSinger.com.
And you guys, Mother's Day's coming up. It is a
Oh, yeah.
treacherous
Oh,
holiday. You think you're free because you got through Valentine's Day. You ain't free. You got
No.
one more big holiday coming up. And if you have a wife who's a mother, you better get her
wait a minute.
something nice.
Hold on. Hold on. Jay, you just said you're taking your wife to the movies. That's
I,
enough, isn't it?
oh, yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. You know what she loves? She loves when I say I'm going to let her listen to my podcasts for Mother's Day. She can
That's
sit
not great.
uninterrupted and listen to the TV show podcast.
So this it's $1,628,
Worth every
and
penny. That blew
it's
my mind. It's
absolutely
so
absolutely
beautiful.
stunning.
That's for like a big event.
And
Bam.
that's for like when he gave it to my mom, it was a big anniversary. So
Yeah. It's
big
awesome.
deal.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Rhea has British Corner, which everybody
Yes.
just fast forwards to this part. They don't even
No.
listen to the beginning. Rhea, what do you got for us this week?
So, Ange, you're going to love this. So, this is an Australian show, and I know how much you love Australian shows because of Wentworth. This show I'm going to tell you about is written by two of the writers who wrote for Wentworth and stars one of the stars of Wentworth, Leah Purcell. She was Andy in, or if I
Yes.
remember,
Oh, I
yes,
loved Andy. Yes.
yes. So she is the star of this. So, and it's filmed in the Victoria Alps. It's a real remote section of Australia. She's a city cop, gets transferred with her wife and her teenage daughter to become a detective. And there's people who are going missing in this remote part. And she says to the guy she's replacing, the detective, she goes, when 5 people go missing, in the city, we call that a pattern. And he goes, well, when you're from here, we call it a fact of life because it is very remote, but it's gorgeous. Again, the
Mm,
scenery is
love
just
that.
as much an actor in these shows as anything else. 8 episodes. It's on Hulu. I don't go to Hulu that often
Mm,
for my British or international
mm.
shows. I've been going to it a lot more, and I'm finding some great shows. I really like it. She's terrific, Leah Purcell, and the storyline's good. I'm through 4 episodes. I got 4 left, and it has been renewed for a season 2. So High
What's
Country
the name?
on Hulu.
High
High
Country.
Country on Hulu.
I like it. I'm on it.
Yeah,
That's got some lineage right there.
yeah,
Those are some very talented people. And
yeah,
Australia TV, I notice you're doing more and more on Australian TV. And
yeah.
here's why. Because it's great. It's really
All
good. The comedies are
And,
terrific.
and
They,
oh, their comedies are great. And my son is going to Australia this summer.
oh, he is.
He's going to New Zealand, Australia, Hawaii. These are
That's it.
what they do for school trips now. We went to the
Yes.
Betsy Ross house.
Yeah, I went to
Wow.
the Great Adventure. I got to
Yeah.
we rode roller coasters. It was wonderful. Much better than New Zealand. Uh
Wow.
Angelo, you got something special this week for us or what?
I thought I did. I thought I did. For a while I did, I guess. And now I don't. But I'll talk about it and then I'll give you something good to watch. But I've held off on Love Story, the story of JFK and Carolyn
Oh,
Bessette.
Oh, right,
yeah.
right, right.
I held off on it because I wasn't going to watch it on Hulu because I'm banning Hulu because of the Kimmel censorship. But I finally was able to get it on FX, and go through all the commercials. The first 5 episodes of Love Story are phenomenal. All right, they're great. They're really, it's Rhea, you would love it because it shows you how a woman can take a guy, the most wanted man in the world, America's sexiest person, JFK
Yep.
Jr., and woo him by playing hard to get.
Yep.
It's a fascinating story of how she actually wins him over by being the first woman who didn't just do whatever he wanted at all times because he was JFK Jr. That part of it was great. Then they get married, and then it goes right off a cliff and crashes.
Just like marriage.
Yeah.
Rhea, just like their marriage, really.
Yeah.
Because from there, it's just fight after fight, problem after problem. And here's the worst part. And this, Jay, you're a screenwriter, so you'll understand how frustrating this is to a viewer. So one of the last scenes, and people know how this ends, it has a very unhappy ending. The plane goes down, and Carolyn and JFK Jr. and Carolyn's sister all die in the crash. They have about 5 minutes, maybe 7, in the plane heading to the Cape and never making it there. There were only 3 people who were in that plane, and they all died. So Ryan Murphy, the man who put this show together, they made it up. It's pure fiction.
Sure.
There's no way any of that could have happened, Jay.
Right.
It did not happen.
You know what it
No one
reminds me
knows
of?
what happened. She didn't move her seat to the front. She didn't have this heart-to-heart conversation. No one knows that. The only people there are dead, and they were not on there was no black box. No one was listening.
But Ange, was it a heart-to-heart she had with John about
Kinda.
their future?
It was like a closing, we need to wrap up the story with some hope for people, that kind of deal.
That's what they were selling. They still had it's still called Love Story, even though it ends tragically. So
Right.
that's what he was trying to sell.
What it reminds
it
me
was
of,
bogus. Jay, when you're making something up that based on a real story, there has to be some limit to that, doesn't there?
So the best example of this is there was a movie called The Perfect Storm based on a book by Sebastian Younger.
Sebastian Younger, right.
That came out in, I guess, 2002, 2003. It was
George
an early
Clooney, right?
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they spend all this time on the fishing boat and they have all these conversations and you're thinking, this is an amazing true story. And then it ends with everyone on the fishing boat dying. And you realize they had to make up every single thing that happened on the fishing boat based on what they thought about their personality. Because here's the thing, if you don't make it up, you don't have a movie or you don't have a show. You can't end with them getting on the plane and then going,
and then die.
Well, yeah, see you later. I hope it works out okay. You have to dramatize that or else you don't have a show. That's the problem.
So if you watch the first 5 episodes, I think you find them good, and then it's awful. After that, it's really bad. Here's what you can watch that's good, though. It's on Netflix. The Untold series, which I told you is every bit as good as 30 for 30 at ESPN.
Okay.
It's all sports stories. And this one is kind of a sports story. It's called Chessmates, and it's about this brilliant grandmaster chess player, Magnus Carlsen, who's a stuffed shirt, and this wacko American, Hans Niemann, who drives him insane and then is accused of cheating. And there's only one other thing I want to tell you about it. It's very rare you will find a story about chess that also includes anal beads. And Rhea, this is just straight reporting. Rhea, don't look at me like that. This is straight reporting.
I've dealt enough with straight reporting today on sleazy things, so let's maybe not go there.
All right, good. So anyway, bottom line is, it's a really good watch. My wife was in the room when I was watching it, and she sat and watched the end of it. She wanted to see how it came out. It's really good. Chessmates, Untold series on Netflix.
Very nice. And I have 2 things I'd like to recommend. One is Love on the Spectrum, the new series on Netflix. It's great show. At first, I was worried that it would be exploitative of these young people who are, autistic or on Asperger's. It's not. It's very sweet. They're very sweet. It's an enjoyable dating show. Most of these shows I don't find any joy in, although it has revealed a lot to me about myself because I watch these shows and the guy's going on and on about trains. And then he's like, you know what? I should stop. I'm talking too much about trains. And my first thought is, I'd like to hear more about your trains, sir.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, this is why I want you to watch the show. So maybe you see a little bit of how
Yeah.
you act when you are out with me. And
Mm.
I'm like, well, I have interests, and I thought you'd want to know about these interests.
Hey, just
And
real quick on the Love on the Spectrum. If anybody hasn't seen it, I
It's
recommend
great.
it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. Dan Orlovsky had his son. It was on National Autism
Yeah.
Day
Mm.
on the set with him at ESPN. I was in the middle of making dinner, and I'm not. This kid was so amazing. I was bawling.
oh, that's
So
great.
just to tie it in, go check it out on
Great.
Twitter, Instagram. It was the
Really
kid
great.
was, and he's an Eagles fan, so it was great.
Great.
That's fantastic. And one other thing I'd like to recommend is a book by Paul Fisher. It just came out in February of 26 called The Last Kings of Hollywood, Coppola, Lucas, and Spielberg.
Oh, yeah.
Have you read this book, Angelo? Have you heard
Yes,
about
I
it?
have. It's great. It's
It's
fantastic.
it's a really nice tale about how these three guys were good friends and sort of the three paths that they took. And you get George and
Uh,
Steven go off to make Star Wars, Jaws, and the Indiana Jones movies, and Coppola winds up making Apocalypse Now and One from the Heart. And you can kind
yeah.
of see the two diverging paths of Hollywood. And honestly, Angela, we all would have been better off if Coppola had won. But here we are with the
Uh,
results. So.
I'll tell you though, it really gives you. I love any of these movies that give you the inside story of how it all
Absolutely.
happened, and that book does it great. That's Last Kings of Hollywood. Paul Fisher is the
Paul
author.
Fisher.
We had a book report this week.
Absolutely.
Shrinking is available on Apple Plus. Expect a major turn very soon. The Beer is on Hulu. Check it out if you want to see this whole theme of having a premise and then having to abandon it and how it changes the show. The Boys is on Amazon Prime. Marty Supreme is on demand. Something about Mary. If you want to see the worst performance in Hollywood history,
Ever.
Brett Favre, and it's on. That's on Hulu. Also, we've got. Hold on, I lost my time. Love Story is on
Yeah.
FX and Hulu. Untold Chessmates is on Netflix. Love on the Spectrum is on Netflix. And Rhea High Country is on
Hulu.
Hulu via Australia.
And that man right there is Angelo Cataldi. You can get his great book Loud at Amazon.com, Audible.com, or go to AngeloCataldi.com to get his book and his whole life, which is fantastic. That lady right there is the wonderful Rhea Hughes. You can listen to her all over the world every morning on the WIP Morning Show. And you can also check out her Instagram, Rhea Hughes 94 WIP, to see behind the scenes stuff at the station. Also, the books that or the food that she's cooking. It's lovely. Or if you want to hear an unhinged liberal
Mhm.
talk about the state of the world, you can find me, Jay Black, at Hello Jay Black. And lots of people tell me that I'm an idiot, which is so nice. I get to hear that every single day. So you
We
can come do
agree.
that as well. And guys, we always appreciate you joining us and our great sponsor, Steven Singer. We will be back next week with even more great TV talk.